Hey everyone, I'm Adam Harry with
JR.
We're both from BoLS, and today we are going over the Legions of Nagash book. You pretty pumped about this one?
Oh yeah, I'm very excited.
We just went over the Line Importance one, which you can check out that video too, but man, I'm excited about Line Importance, I'm excited about Legions of Death.
Yeah, he's Nagash has got some pretty cool, mean powers and exciting stuff in this book, so let's dive in, take a look.
Yep, we're going to go through the book. We're not going to go through every single page in this book. We're going to hit some of the highlights and cover some of the cool stuff.
Or because we're talking about the undead, maybe they're the low lights.
Oh, what's what you do there? This book is, by the way, 120 pages. It is a hardback, and it is packed full of new stuff. Absolutely. Overall, if you want the TLDR version of this book brings the forces of death, the faction of death, in line with the other factions by adding 6 more allegiances that you can build armies from.
Yep.
And it gives you each of the 6 allegiances is going to have their own command traits, artifacts, and something else that I forgot the name of right now.
War scrolls?
Not war scrolls. Artifacts of power. Thank you.
There's the one.
Command traits, battle traits, and artifacts of power. Yes. So. And there's like 6 for each one. So.
Basically, Death is now a real Age of Sigmar.
It's a real faction force.
Yeah. It's also really cool. So let's get through it. There's a lot of lore to begin with, where it kind of goes back over the story of Nagash from the beginning all the way to the present, and it kind of talks about the stuff that's in the Line Importance a little bit.
It hints at that. It just basically talks about Nagash has been planning stuff for a very long time.
Yeah.
He has this big pyramid that he's been working on in Shaiish. He's refocusing his power.
He hates Sigmar.
This is something that I have been curious of personally, because it seems like these two guys, Nagash and Sigmar, actually work together fairly well when chaos is involved.
Yeah.
They really don't like chaos.
They hate it.
They hate chaos. However, Nagash has a different point of view now that he's ascended to godhood. He does not like the fact that Sigmar has been stealing souls from him. Those souls are the ones that became Stormcast Eternals, and the way he has essentially cheated death for those people, and how they are reborn time and time again through the reforging.
Kept out of his hands.
Yes, he does not appreciate that. Being the Lord of Death, these guys trade souls or currency to them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal.
I mean, if you've seen any of the Stormcast Eternals without their hats, sometimes they're skulls.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're bonemen.
Yeah. So
which Nagash does not like other people having those.
Yeah. He does not like he doesn't like sharing skulls. Essentially.
Yeah.
You know, him and Korn. Anyway.
So there's a lot of cool and expansive lore. They really expand on what Shaiish, the realm of the dead, is like, and then they talk about the different legions of Nagash, which is what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, and it also goes over backstory for each of the generals he has, the Mortarchs, Nefertiti, Manfred von Karstein, Ark in the Black. And it's going to go through all the different legions: Death Rattle Legion, Beast of what was that?
Beasts of the Grave.
Beasts of the Grave. Yeah. So you've got those are zombie dragons, by the way. Terror guys. But it's got a lot of really good background. Again, this is from the point of view of Nagash now too. So we get more of his story, which we haven't seen since the end times. So Nagash as a faction. The dead as a faction have been really quiet.
Yeah.
But now they're making some noise. So the 6 alliances, we're going to go through each one pretty quick. We're going to probably touch on a couple of things for each one, so stick with us here. Grand Host of Nagash is the first one.
This is the Nagash is the army's general. This is all of Nagash's special fancy forces. They get all kinds of cool stuff like the command traits. Master of Death, which let them reroll results of 1 on the Deathly Invocation ability, which is a new thing or a changed thing in this book.
Real quick, too, just to show you what we're looking at. We've got the on this side we've got the Grand Host of Nagash and their special rules. Each one of the factions is going to come with a chart, as you can see right here. Those charts are going to have the command traits. 6 of those for each one, and then over here we've got the artifacts of power, and there's going to be 6 different artifacts for each one. And on top of that, you're also going to have your battle traits which in this case, for Nagash, he's got the Unquiet Dead. So that one does the...
After the territories have been determined, you can basically pick 2 different points in your territory and up to 2 other points somewhere else on the battlefield, and those can be grave sites. So basically you can kind of like put special markers and set up to 4 different points on the battlefield where you can kind of have your summonable units waiting to hang out.
Now that battle trait, the Unquiet Dead, is actually going to be in all the factions. So that's like a new thing for all of the Nagash. But he actually has a couple of extra things. There's the Deathless Minions, which this one is across the board too. You roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly death unit within 6 inches of your general, or another friendly death hero. On a 6, that wound is negated. So
pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure that's for all of them. Deathless Minion, Deathless Minion.
Deathless Minions.
Yep. So that's going to go there. But each one is also going to have a couple of unique ones here too. So Chosen Guardians is actually the unique one for the Grand Host of Nagash. This is they add one to the attack characteristics of all melee weapons used by Grand Host of Nagash Morghast units.
That's gross.
So just extra attacks there. They also have Legion's Innumerable. If you're in your hero phase, you may roll a die for each friendly Grand Host of Nagash summonable unit on the battlefield. On a 5-up, you can heal D3 wounds that have been allocated to it. For units with wounds characteristics of 1, return 1 slain model to that unit for each wound that would have been healed.
And then, of course, you have your command ability, which is Endless Legions, which basically let you... you can choose a grave site that's within 9 inches of your general, and you can just set up a summonable unit that's been destroyed.
So the abilities that are across the board, again, Unquiet Dead, that's the grave site thing.
And
Deathless Minions and Endless Legions. Looks like it's in all of the other ones too.
Sweet.
So that's pretty cool. And then Artifacts of Nagash. Again, 6 artifacts you can choose from. You can either roll or choose depending on how you want to play that. We did a command trait already, right? Yep. Okay, so let's see. Balefire Lantern. That one sounds fun.
All right.
This lantern burns with a sickly purple light and discharges noxious smoke, which sears the mind of those who stray too close.
Ooh.
Subtract 1 from wound rolls for enemy units within 6 inches of the bearer. In addition, reroll successful casting rolls for every wizard within 6 inches of the bearer.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Wow. So it makes them weaker. And then we move on.
Have the Legion of Sacrament,
which
is all about Ark and the Black's guys. The Legion of Sacrament is full of necromancers and has all kinds of weird magic spells and
if
things.
You want to run an army full of skeletons and keep on bringing them back,
that's the one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's the one. Let's take a look at one of their command traits. How about Mastery of Death? At the start of your hero phase, all friendly death units within 6 inches of your general can immediately make a move of up to 3 inches as though it were your movement phase. They can't run, but they just get like a free, 3 inches advance.
Yeah. They have a couple of unique battle traits. The Master's Teachings. Whenever an enemy unit is destroyed before removing the last model, you may pick one of your grave sites within 6 inches of that model, roll a die, then remove the model. On a 4-up, you may pick a friendly summonable unit that has been destroyed and set it up again, wholly within 9 inches of the gravesite and more than 9 inches away from the enemies.
There you go.
So, if you wipe out an enemy unit and you have a dead unit, you can bring it back. Yep. And they also have the Black Disciples. Friendly Legion of Sacrament Wizards may add 1 to casting rolls.
Yeah, just pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward and good.
And then you have different kinds of artifacts as well. I like the Shroud of Darkness. Ooh. You subtract 1. Oh, so this is woven from strands of pure night. This shadowy mantle renders its bearer all but invisible. Basically, you subtract 1 from all the hit rolls that are made when they are shooting at your guy, as long as they're within 8 inches of the bearer. If they're more than 8 inches away, they subtract 2.
So it's a great defense versus getting shot.
Yeah.
Legion of Blood. These are like the vampire. These are Nefertatas. Nefertatas, sorry. Those are food, right?
I know, right?
I'm hungry now.
They're they're her brand of Soulblight vampires is what she is, and they're all about blood. They like blood. You've got it. They want it.
Yeah. One of her command traits here Let's see. Aura of Dark Majesty. Subtract 1 from the hit rolls of attacks that target this general in the combat phase.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's pretty good.
Yep. You get, again, Unquiet Dead and Deathless Minions, but you also get Immortal Majesty.
Yep.
Which is different. You subtract 1 from the Bravery characteristic of enemy units within 6 inches.
Yeah, for friendly...
of any friendly Legion of Blood units.
Yeah, so, those Bravery chests can really start to stack up, especially when you're pulling whole models. And you also have Favored Retainers. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of all melee weapons used by friendly Legion of Blood Vampire Lords and Legion of Blood Blood Knights. Those guys hit hard.
Yeah, they do.
Anytime you see a thing that gives vampires more attacks, be afraid of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, we also have Artifacts of Blood.
Let's talk about the Ring of Dominion, because that looks pretty cool. It's an ancient vampire ring full of blood.
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. We're not going to read the whole text because I actually know what this does, but on a 5-up, you pick an enemy that's in 3 inches of you. You can attack with one of their weapons. So, rules-wise, you just get extra attacks. Lore-wise, it's a gem that has the blood of an ancient vampire, and vampires love to dominate people.
Yep.
Which is what that's taking place of.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, we have the Legion of Night, which is Manfred von Karstein's special dark sad boys.
Yeah. They're tricky.
They are.
Manfred was not... not that he wasn't good in combat.
Right.
But Manfred's always been about sneaking around and stuff, and his crew is also very sneaky. So.
Absolutely, they're kind of like a much more mobile strike force.
Yeah, they can actually outflank pretty handily and show up on your sides. So.
Especially with command traits like Swift Form, which lets you add 2 inches to your general's move characteristic and 2 inches to the distance they can run.
Which is pretty handy. He has a couple of... he actually has 1 ability for battle traits. He still has the Unquiet Dead, Deathless Minions, and of course Command Ability, Endless Legions. But I'm sorry, he's got 2 here. Yeah. He's got the Bait, which... add 1 to save rolls for friendly Legions of Night Death Rattle units that are wholly within your territory. So if you have a unit of skeletons that is sitting on an objective, that's why they're called the Bait.
Yeah, because
they're slightly tougher, and they're there to hold you up and trick you to attack them.
And then he's got Ageless Cunning.
Yeah.
Which, instead of setting up a Legion of Night unit on the battlefield, you put it up in ambush. So you basically get to, like, within 3 turns, deep strike a main.
Oh no, it's different in Sigmar.
Is it?
Yeah, so you can do it at any turn. You
have to wait.
But it's also, you can put up to 3 units.
Ooh.
JR's been playing a lot of 40k.
I have been.
At the end of your movement phase, you can set up any of the units in the ambush wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from an enemy.
Oh, that's really cool. So you really can outflank.
You literally can pop up. You can wait till the last turn of the game, I believe, and pop in and take an objective. That's actually one of the things when Games Workshop teases. That's one of the things they brought up is like, yeah, you can wait, bring him in, and scoop up an objective from the back end. So it's pretty cool. And then let's talk about the that one's been done. Those 2 were already previewed. Gem of Exsanguination.
Ooh, hey.
Yeah, Crimson Stone pulses with hungrily. It craves fresh blood, and its magic is strong enough to burst the arteries of its victims, greedily siphoning their vitae in a tempest of gore. Once per battle, at the start of the combat phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer and roll the die. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 through 5, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6, they suffer D6 mortal wounds.
Oh, that's a sad day to
Give me your blood.
Yeah, it's a sad day to have blood.
Yep.
And that's...
Well, there's more. There's also the Lords of the Dead. There's actually a quick break in the middle of all of the allegiances.
So should we come back to these?
We'll talk about the lores real fast.
All
There's
right.
2 lores to go through. There's the lore of the Death Mages and lore of the Vampires. On top of that, you also get the Locus of Shaiish, which anytime you make a casting roll of 9-up for a Death Wizard,
an unmodified.
Unmodified, yeah. So on the die, not with bonuses. If you're casting a spell from the lore of Death Mages or lore of Vampires and is not unbound, meaning you don't roll 2 6s, then after resolving the effects of that spell, you may immediately resolve them for a 2nd time. So you get to do it twice.
That's pretty spicy. So what are the lores here?
The lore of the Vampires vampires are. It's more.
That's like
comedy
their vampire magic, right?
Yeah, it's just, and then let me give you an example here.
Sure.
Here's a good one. Let's do the first one. Blades of Shaiish. Blades of Shaiish has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, roll a die for each enemy within 12 inches of the caster. On a 5-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Okay. So it's just a basic, magic missile type. Maybe that's a bad example because I think most of the spelllords have a magic missile type ability. Let's see, is this one? Soul Pike has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them until your next hero phase. After a unit affected by any Soul Pike spell makes a charge move, roll a number of dice equal to the result of their charge roll. For each 5+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound.
Wow.
So
that's kind of cool.
They also have a way to make a unit fly. Yeah, they just... Vampires have some tricks.
Sure.
And then
looking at the lore of the Death Mages, it looks like they've got a lot of ways to manipulate bravery and to make your enemies worse. They've got at least two different ones here that make you subtract from hit rolls and bravery, or one that subtracts from the total number of attacks you can make, and reduce you to only a single dice when you're charging.
Which is pretty good. Which one's that one?
This is the Fading Vigor. It's got a casting value of 6. If you successfully cast it, you pick someone within 18 inches of your caster, and they lose 1 attack. They only make a single roll when charging.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
They seem to be all about debuffs.
Yeah, and again, you have a possibility of being able to do those spells twice. So it's pretty good. Next up, the next Allegiance ability is the Soul Blight.
Yeah.
Allegiance, again, command traits. These are abilities that are available to a Soul Blight army, including battle traits, command traits, and artifacts. Let's see, let's start with a command trait for these guys.
Sure.
So you Mist Form. If the general retreats, they can move as if they had fly, and they can still charge in the same turn.
That's pretty cool.
Fall back and charge is always nice.
That's pretty cool. You also, as part of their battle traits, now these guys don't have the same generic Legions of the Dead and stuff, but they do have Deathless Thralls. Wow, try saying that 3 times fast.
Deathless,
and they have different bloodlines that you can take.
Yeah, these, I think these were either the old ones. Anyway, yeah, they're more, I want to say, umbrella type factions versus the specific ones.
Yeah.
Because there's also the Allegiance of Death as well.
Right. Which, if you don't necessarily want to field.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, these are the more general ones because they go up in terms of specific keywords. So again, this is if your guys have Soul Blight.
Right.
So. Yeah, and then of course, if you want to run a death faction where everybody's got the keyword death,
then you've got the Allegiance of Death ability.
So the more specific you get, and that's 5 total, right? Or was it 6?
6 total.
Yeah,
that's 6 total because there was the 4 Legions of Nagash specifically, and then there's
Death and Soul Blight. Yep. Cool. There's an extra battle plan in here too, so if you want to play a specific scenario, there's 2 extra ones there. I believe those are pitch battle plans.
I've got some special Nagash themed rules for Path to Glory campaigns,
which is kind of like the Legion Warband, or sorry, not Legion. It's the Warband skirmish style gameplay you can do with champion rewards and everything like that. Which is super fun to do. We should do that sometime.
We should. That would be a ton of fun.
We've been petitioning to do a skirmish campaign for the studio, so maybe we can do that with a new book.
And then as we get towards the end of the book here, they talk about different ways to use your armies, different ways to build and collect your armies, and
how to use ward scrolls, which is kind of straightforward.
We're not going to go over of everything, but we're not going to go through them all individually, but you will find everything that you need to run a death army out of this book.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a couple of new units that we wanted to highlight here. Again, it does have the battalions, the War Scroll battalions, so if you want to build a specific War Scroll battalion, you do get the special abilities on top of that.
Yeah.
So, like, if you build an army with specific units, you can get those abilities. The ones we wanted to show off were the new ones, which I believe...
we have back here. We have Prince Vordre, a new vampire man on a zombie dragon.
Yeah, he's a vampire lord on a zombie dragon, but he's special.
He is special. You can, I think, only ever take one of him in your model or in your army. He has 14 wounds. He's bravery 10. Got a 3-up save, and he hits like a freight train.
Yeah, his blood lance is 2-inch range, 4 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -2 rend, and 2 damage per attack. His Shord Mare's Maul, which is his zombie dragon. It's a 3-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, again, 2 rend, and d6 damage.
And then Shord Mare's Sword-like Claws have a range of 2, have a special amount of attacks.
It's based on the number of wounds it suffered.
Right, and then
which starts at 7, by the way,
and then goes down to 3.
Yeah.
But it hits on 4, wounds on 3s. Only run 1, but does a straight 2 damage.
Pretty mean.
So all of these attacks are mean.
Yeah, he's got some other cool abilities too.
Yeah, he's got the Blood Lance charge, where if he charges, you're dealing 3 damage on the charge.
Pretty mean. With your Blood Lance attacks, you're doing 3 instead of 2.
Yep.
Yeah. He's got Quick Blood, which I believe is his magic spell here. His casting value of 7. If successfully cast, add 1 to the hit and wound rolls for the caster to your next hero phase, which means you're 2 up for the most. Ouch.
And then finally, especially if you charge, you're at a 2 up and doing 3 damage per hit. And then his command ability is the Fist of Nagash, where Prince Vordre can pick a friendly death hero within 14 inches of him, except for himself. It specifically says you can't pick him.
Yeah.
But that hero can immediately be chosen to pile in and fight as though it were a combat phase, or if they are a wizard, they could immediately attempt to cast a spell on top of whatever else they've done this round.
Which is pretty
So he helps you get like even more out of your guys.
Yeah. The next unit is the Bloodseeker Anapaquin.
Yep, the Bloodseeker Palanquin. Anapaquin is the dread conveyance of a sanguinarch. She's an honored vampire who seeks only the richest and most potent blood to sample. Leashed spirits and wailing banshees swirl about Anapaquin, who is being pulled along by a cauldron that has the sanguinarch's finest concoction, an elixir of utterly intoxicating delicious blood.
This is actually based off of the Coven kit or the what's the other one called?
The Mortis engine.
The Mortis engine. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's based off of that kit, but this is a new unit. We're not sure what it's supposed to look like yet, but it's pretty mean. It's a buffing thing.
Yeah, it's like a war engine kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it flies. It's terrifying. Yeah. It's also pretty deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got some mean abilities. It's 12 wounds. I mean, when this comes out, you'll be able to see the rules online anyway. Yeah. But it's just one of the new ones here. Blood Siphon's a cool ability. Has a casting value of 6. If it's successful, pick an enemy hero within 12 inches of the caster that's visible to them. Roll a die. On a 1, 2, 3, they suffer a mortal wound. On a 4 or 5, they suffer D3, and then on a 6, they suffer D6. On top of that,
it's got a really cool set of abilities. There's one in particular I want to mention.
Yeah. Which
is the Wail of the Damned, which is this like a ranged attack.
Yeah.
So whenever you're making a Wail of the Damned attack, you roll 2 dice for each enemy unit. Each enemy unit within range, which is like
based on the wounds.
When it's unhurt, it's at 9 inches and goes down to 5. But if you roll 2 dice, and if you beat their bravery, which there are a number of ways you have of reducing their bravery, yep. They suffer D3 mortal wounds.
Just straight up mortal wounds.
Just like, hey, what's up?
Well, what's really, really cool, and why this thing I think is such a cool buffing unit, is it has another ability of Fine Vintage. If an enemy hero dies within 9 inches, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of any melee weapon used by friendly Soul Blight units within 12 inches of this model until your next hero phase.
That's pretty cool.
So that's just a way to get extra attacks on probably your vampires.
Yeah.
Which is
good. That's what you want.
Yeah, Coven Throne, Mortis Engine, again, that's the kit it's based off of. The Corpse Carts are back, all that fun stuff.
Corpse Carts are back. They've got special weapons this time around. Terrorgeist, Zombie Dragons.
Last but not least, we also have the pitch battle points in the back as well. So those are all updated for this army.
Yep. I don't think there were any like huge changes points wise or anything like that, but you know, it's
but they're
all
in this
listed.
book too. So this book is a complete way to play Death armies, Legions of Nagash.
So if you want to start collecting some Nagash, this is a great place to start.
Armies are.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff all around. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can check out our previous video on the Malign Portents. I'm Adam Harry.
I'm JR.
We're both from Bell Lost Souls. Thanks for watching.
Click to subscribe. Support us on Patreon. Check out more videos. And thanks for watching.